All right, thank you, Sam. Hi, everybody. My name is Ben Sondgeroth, and I'm happy to be here with you today, this afternoon. Anne-Marie, I see you've got a furry friend on your lap. Happy to have them joining us too. That's good. That's one of the fun things about Zoom is we're able to have even our pets join us to learn a little bit about technology, right? That's good stuff. I do enjoy watching, like, at times the people that are in my Zoom sessions and like cats just like walking across keyboards and randomly appearing in different parts of the screen. It's kind of funny. It makes me laugh. So much more entertaining than sometimes what happens in just personal settings. So good stuff. Yeah, my name is Ben Sondgeroth. I'm happy to be here talking a little Gmail and also some Google Calendar today. So we're going to look at kind of some Google tools there for functionality purposes, kind of both business and everyday life uses in both of them. Absolutely 100%. I don't go a day. I don't know if that's good or bad without looking at either one of these two tools. I would say that, and I'm pretty. I can tend to be a little bit of an exaggerated person when it comes to my usage of things. Like I just get really amped up, and usually, I mean, it's genuine, but I'm like over the top of them. But like I want to say that Google Calendar might have been life changing. Like, and that's a tough word to like put out there, but like I really think it's life changing. Like now the way we use it, and we'll give lots of examples of that here as we continue on for the next 50 minutes and a change. So, as Sam said, if you have any questions at all, Karen and Marie, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll kind of like the game plan for this is to split the time in half about to go a little bit about halftime with Gmail and then roll right into calendar. After that, we'll pause, ask for any questions that you guys have. But yeah, if you have a question during it, I know Sam will be monitoring the chat. I also have done, I don't know, a million hours of these, it seems like, over the course of the last year. And so I'm fairly good at monitoring the chat and talking at the same time. So feel free to drop that in. I'll do my best to answer it in a timely fashion as well. So like I said, these two tools are super great. So I'll put in the chat right now, actually, a link to a Google Doc. So usually I present from a slideshow, but this one I went a little bit different because I felt like doing some sort of like skills checklist might be a little bit kind of easier to follow perhaps when it comes to Gmail and Calendar, because both of these tools, I would say neither one of them really kind of lend themselves towards like a slide deck, if you will. It's kind of like, I don't know. This is the way I decided I wanted to go with this today. So, so you can see these are going to be kind of as we're going through, we're going to look at Gmail, we're going to look at calendar, we're going to look at how we use them and how we maximize them for everyday life. And that can be both personal and also in the workplace. So I am a Google for Education certified trainer. I live, eat, and breathe this stuff. This is what I do on a daily basis. I immerse myself in the Google sphere. And so we're going to mix in a little bit of Google for Education too, just in case any teachers watch this on recording, just to kind of showcase some differences between what personal Gmail looks like and what what Google for Education looks like as well. So that's kind of our game plan. And also, if you're using Google for Education in the workplace and you're using Google Education, it's actually called that now, Google for Education Workplace, you see those same things that Google for Education has. So if you have the business model or version of this, then you'll see that as well, some of those features. So, all right, so let's get started. Here is my screen for everyone to see. Get organized here. I like to have my stuff in a quick arrangement. So here, got the chat up. Move this menu bar over to the other side. There we go. All right, so here's kind of our game plan. We're going to kind of look at some of the Gmail basics. We're going to get into a couple of things that I would kind of throw into next level. Like, I don't necessarily like using the word advanced, even though you might see the word advanced here. That is not because I put that in there as my phrasing of that. That's actually what Google calls it. So that's what we're calling it because we have to, because that's what Google calls it. So we're going to look at some of the advanced features of Google. They're nothing too scary, but they are stuff that you might or might not use, but we want to just highlight them. But we have, a handful of things, about 8 different things that I think are really important to critical Gmail use. And then about the same as far as maximizing the use of Google Calendar as well. Both tools, like I said, just incredibly functional for daily life and daily use. So really good stuff to learn about today. So let's get into Gmail. I think one of the things that we have to kind of look at first is how can we maximize just some of the features that are there. We've probably all know how to send an email at this point, but there's a couple of little intricate things about Gmail in sending and composing an email that I always like to point out to people, maybe to explain what they are, but then also just to showcase a couple of things. So you're looking here at actually a fake account of Google, a fake Google student account that I have. Do not be impressed that there is no new mail in there and that it's like, oh my gosh, does Ben have a clean inbox? That it could not be further from the truth. There are thousands upon thousands of emails in my inbox. However, they are all marked as unread because I cannot do the thing where it's like you have 70,000 unread messages. Like I mean, if you're one of those people, then good on you. I don't know how you survive. That would drive me absolutely bananas. Like I would go insane. Once went to a conference and the presenter gave out a prize. Actually, it was a copy of one of his books for the person who had the most unread emails on their bubble notification on their phone. The person had 460,000 unread emails. I don't know how that's even possible, but that was what, and they won the book, of course, because no one even came close. But there was like, I always see it, 80,000, 70,000. It's like, blows my brain. But anywho, this is a fake account. So that's why we're using it, because that way you guys don't need to see all of my emails. Not that I have anything to hide, but it would be boring and all that. So we're going to use our fake student account here to kind of guide through where everything's at. So to get to Gmail, one of the things that we like to showcase is how to even get there. Couple of different ways. If you're using Google Chrome, which I always suggest, I think it's a superior web browser to pretty much everything else that's out there. If you are an Internet Explorer hold-on, if you're still using that, get ready to RIP that usage because it is going away, and they are sunsetting Internet Explorer. So in the tech community, we like to lovingly call it Internet Exploder because it always seems to break and crash. So that's going into the wayside later on. So I like Chrome. Chrome is my my jam. So we're gonna go that. And Amory, I see about sign up for shifts. I think we can make that happen. I think I'm going to show you something that you'll be able to do for that. So I think you'll be happy with what we're going to do for that. All right. So let's look at this. So where do we get to Gmail? You can open up a new tab when you open up Chrome, and if you're signed in, you should see your icon up at the top. You could click on this icon just to confirm that you're signed into Chrome, but you should see a Gmail icon here. You can also go over to the Ice Cube tray, or also I called it the Ice Cube tray last week when I did my drive session. The other name for it's the Waffle. Either one. I kind of trend towards Ice Cube tray, but other people call it the Waffle. It's really called the app launcher. If you click on that, you should also see Gmail there. And when you select Gmail, you can go and you will get into your inbox. And that's also where you're going to find the quick URL to also get there if you wanted to type it in would be mail.google.com. Anytime you want to go to any Google app, it's just the name of that Google app.google.com. So calendar is calendar.google.com. Maps.google.com. Lots of different ways we can get there just by typing in that kind of sequence. So we are in our Gmail account here, and there are a few things to kind of go over where things live, but we're going to start with that composing an email. So Google actually just updated this last week, maybe week before, which is one of the reasons why sometimes making screenshots and putting them into a slideshow, they go out of date because Google likes to update things and keep us trainers on our toes and keep us users also on our toes. So this used to be a big button up here that said plus and then new. That's no longer there. You now have a pencil, and that's going to be how we compose a new message and a new email to whoever we want to send this to. Okay, and when we get that message, you can see we have the to field and the subject field. So this is just where we're going to type our recipients in. For this one, I'll email it to myself and my own Gmail account. You'll put the subject in. Oh, Karen, you still have the plus. Just hang tight. It'll probably update soon. So the reason why you probably still have the plus may be because Google rolls out updates on like a kind of like it takes a while to get to everybody. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean that you're not going to get it. It just means that our domain probably got it before you. So that's all. Like it just takes a while sometimes to trickle down. And this is so new that that's just probably the case. Like it just hasn't gotten out to you yet. So no reason to worry about that yet. But just know, so when it happens, this is what it's going to look like in the future. So One of the things that really tripped me up one time was when I was doing a workshop, and I said, everybody click on the big blue button up in the top left corner. It'll be in Google Drive. And everybody's like, it's red. I'm like, oh, they changed it. It's red now. So it was blue the day before, then it was red the next day. This is what they like to do. So yeah, I wouldn't be concerned too much with that. Your subject line is here to type in your subject, and then obviously you would compose the body of the email here. There's not much to this. It's really something as straightforward as just typing in whatever you're going to say lovingly to whoever you want to send an email to. One thing that I do like to kind of note is your default font and text is actually just coming in at what they consider the normal size, which is right around 10-point font. It can be a little bit small for people. You can highlight your text, and then down at the bottom there is a formatting options. Okay, so in your Gmail Compose window, you do have the ability to change your font, your size of your font, your justification, bold, italics, even changing the text color and the background color of your text. So you can see you have lots of different options. It looks like a mini word processing. So when we go to do the Google Docs workshop here in training in a couple of weeks, this is what you would see this is like a miniaturized version of what you would get inside of Google Docs as far as an editing toolbar. But many people don't even know that it exists. They don't know what that little A with the underscore is. So I can change it from my font sizes here. They are not like 8, 10, 12 point. It's just small, normal, large, or huge. So that's not very specific, but you can go to huge sized font if you want to make it a little bit bigger. So there is the option to also change to a handful of different options for fonts. There's not too many in there. There's a few that you can change. So just something to kind of be aware of, that you can go in and change that. Now here's your first Ben tip. So I like to give tips when I do these workshops because I've got these little things that are quick quirks, like that are little hacks that I like to give when I do workshops. And this is going to be the first one. So one of the things that you can do, so say I have something in a Google Doc and I want to put it into an email. Okay, so here's my Google Doc. I want to take this list. I'm going to copy that and go back to my email here and paste that in. And you notice that when that comes in, it comes in differently than what the rest of the email looks like. Okay, and so now you're looking at like blue text with black text, 2 different sizes. It's just, for me, like I can't handle that. Like I need something to be all the same size. I need it to be all the same color. It can be a pain to have to then highlight this and then go down and click the A and bring up your toolbar and try to find the matching size. So here's your tip, okay? And this actually works across Google tools. When you want to change the formatting and make it all look normal, okay? So a normal font looks like this. When you want everything in your email to look like that, what you're going to do is highlight all of it, and then you're going to use a keyboard shortcut. Okay, so if you push multiple keys together on your keyboard to make something happen, it's keyboard shortcut. So on a PC, it's Control and then /. So I guess it would be this way. Yep. So the one right above your Enter key or your return. And if you do that, you see it took away all the formatting. So everything goes back to normal. This is so helpful when you're copying and pasting things from like a website or like another email to an email or a Google Doc to an email. It just eliminates all that formatting and it looks all the same. Now you still have to go in maybe and there's the spacing issue, so you might have to clean that up a little bit. But as far as like a quick hack of getting everything to look the same, this is a really nice way to do it. So again, that's Control and then the /. Keep doing it backwards because I'm weird. So I think it's that way. Yep. Right above your return key again. Okay. So that's something to note. Really helpful hack, like one that I use constantly. And I find it to be super helpful. So I just wanted to kind of point that out as we're talking about composing an email. The last thing that I want to kind of point out as far as composing goes, and you might all have noticed this coming up, but maybe didn't know what it was named. On all Gmail accounts now, yeah, I'm sorry, Amory. Yep, if you're using a Mac, it's Command. So if you're using a Mac, it's command and then the forward slash. So yep, command and then forward slash. Chromebook, control forward slash still. But on a Mac, command and then the forward slash. And so it would be in, and I guess it would be this one. I'm incorrect in my mannerisms, so it's that way. So the last thing as far as this goes, and we'll see, like, let's see, welcome email. Let's just type this in. So you can see it, and Google's going to help out by kind of showcasing this right now. So you might have noticed a Smart Compose come up when you're typing emails, and it's actually in Google Docs now. Like, Google is spreading the Smart Compose AI interface into all of its other tools too. I think this is really helpful. Like, it was kind of annoying at first, but now it's my jam. Like, I really like it. And what this is, just to explain what it is, they're suggesting words based on what you're typing. They're suggesting what they think you should type to help save you time. And all you have to do is, you see there's a little, it's kind of like highlighted there where I've started typing welcome, and it says, do you want to finish with welcome email? Say yes. You actually hit the tab, and this doesn't matter, Mac, PC, anything. You hit tab, and then you don't have to type the rest of those words. It is really nice, and here's the best thing about it. It makes you sound so much smarter, I think anyways, when I'm composing an email, because it's like the computer's just figuring it out for you, and you're like, oh, I wasn't going to use that word, but that makes way more sense than the one that I was going to use. Like, and now I sound smarter to whoever I'm sending the email to because Google suggested that word. So that's what Smart Compose is. If you don't like it, you can turn it off in settings. Okay, so if it's something that's just not really jiving for you and you get kind of annoyed with it, you can turn it off. But one of the things that is neat, I've found that when you reply to an email, and if you're replying specifically to like Google emails, it'll actually just drop in, like, you type in hi and then space, it'll fill in like whoever's sent on the email. Like, if I send one to Kelsey and to Sam, it might say like, hi, Kelsey and Sam, and like you just hit tab and then their names autofill. It's like, that saved me a couple of milliseconds. Who knows? The butterfly effect. When you save a little bit of time, who knows what else you can get it done. So I like it, but that's just one thing I like to point out. Other quick things inside of Compose, as I have quite a bit more I want to make sure I hit on, but there are some really fun things in here. You want to attach files, PDFs, anything like that. That's going to be your paperclip. That can look a little bit different as well. Like, sometimes that comes up as a different icon, but it's always going to be pretty right next to the A. But they have changed that icon a couple of times, so you might have a different icon there. But that's just going to be for you to be able to attach any files that you like to the email there. Amber, yeah, it should be on automatic, but if it's not, we're going to look in the settings here in a little bit, and when we go into settings, we'll be able to find it and turn it on for you. So, and if I, for some reason, forget, like, just remind me, like, and feel free to unmute when we get to that point, just be like, where was that Smart Compose thing? And we'll just double check for you that it's on. Okay, so we'll check that out when we get to settings, just to confirm. So we can attach emails this way. The other way that we can attach documents to our email is actually here. So I'm on a Mac, so I'll go into my Finder window, and this will just have lots of different, files and stuff in here that I might want to attach. Okay, so for example, here's a PDF. Here's my leave form. So I was off yesterday, so I had to send my leave form into my boss. So it's as a PDF. I could go in and hit the attach button here and then find it going that route. But the other way that's fairly straightforward is actually you can just drag and drop files into your Gmail window, and then they're there. Okay, so that might save you some time if you have the My Computer window open or your My Documents window open, and or the Finder window if you're on a Mac. You can just drag and drop those in. Now, I will say this, the one thing that is a bit different about this, if it's a PDF or a document, you can drag and drop it. However, if you drag and drop a photo, that does come in a little bit differently. Okay, so for example, we have, I think this is the golf picture I took yesterday. Yep, okay. So I played golf yesterday at a pretty cool opportunity to play a nice golf course, and I took a picture of my buddy teeing off who got me on the course. So if I wanted to email this to him and I drag it into the window, it actually loads in the body of the message, okay? When you do that with a picture. sometimes you might want this to happen, but it's also kind of hard to see it, like follow it up. Like it can be mess up your text in there because it'll just drop wherever your cursor was. So a suggestion I might have if it's an image is to use the attached files option here and then go into your images and hit open, and then it'll upload them, like it'll put them in like it does the PDF. And then when the person opens that up, it'll just see them at the bottom and they can click on all of them and see them. It's a little bit easier. It doesn't clutter up your like main body of your message to do it that way. So that's kind of one of my suggestions. You also have the insert photo option here, but when you do that, that also drops them right directly into the body of the email. Okay, so like that might look weird if they try to open it on their phone or they try to open it on an iPad or something else. So kind of one of my, just suggestions is I like to add them as attachments and add them that way is kind of the way that I like to go. Okay, links. So this is another thing we'll talk about in the Google Docs workshop, but again, lots of stuff crosses over between apps. We're talking between Google stuff. So this is really one of the neat things you can do inside of Gmail. If I wanted to send somebody to, you guys are .org, right? Nailed it. Okay. So if I want to send somebody to Cook County Higher Ed's website in an email, Smart Compose coming for the win. One of the things that I like to show is that you can insert links without pasting them in like that. So I can copy the link and paste it in. I have a big pet peeve. Not only is it having a ton of unanswered emails or notifications in general, it doesn't have to be email, it's any app. I just have this one thing that kind of irks me a little bit when I send emails is that if somebody puts in what I like to call an ugly link like this, that's got the HTTP and the full thing in there, especially if it's really, really long. Like if I took the Google Doc here, copied that link and dropped that in, that's just gross. Like, I don't know. Like to me, it's just like, I need it clean. Like I need it clean. I like to make the bad joke that that's a dirty link, but then it like, then people's heads start going in the wrong places. It's not that way. It's just ugly. Like it just doesn't clean up. So I like to clean my links up. Okay. So here's how you do that. You can highlight the word that you want to make the link itself. And then you can use a shortcut again, or do another button on here. But my shortcut is Control K on a PC or Command K on a Mac. Okay, and this works across Google tools. Okay, and if you do that Control K or Command K, you get a window that pops up that says Edit Link. And I didn't even highlight the N on that, so it would not have highlighted the N. So let's do that again. Control K. And then now it says the text that's going to be linked is going to be organization and then link to a web address. And now I can paste that email or that link in there, hit OK. And then I'll delete this, the long link. And now I just have this. And when I send this out, people can click on that, open it up and go directly to that web page. So it's just like a cleaner way. Now, am I perfect at this? Do I send the long links from time to time? Sure. When I'm kind of in a hurry or I want to make it clear because of the person I'm emailing, like, hey, this is the link to go to. Absolutely, I do that. But when I want my email to look like really super professional, maybe I'm blasting it out to a big group of people that are like, I work with superintendents a lot. So superintendents of schools. So I always want to look, have the email as clean as possible when I send something to them. So I'll take the time to go through and highlight the different words and stuff like that and make them linked. So again, that shortcut is Control K or Command K. The other option that you have is to highlight the words and then hit the link button down here, and it does the same thing. So if you don't want to use a shortcut, you can hit the little chain link button at the bottom, and that's going to be your insert link there as well. Last couple of things as we move on here, you do have the ability to insert Google Drive files. That will then also share that file with the person you're emailing it to. So it'll double check sharing permissions for you, which is really nice because if I was trying to send Karen something and she opened it up and she'd be like having to request access. If I put the Drive file link in here, it actually adds it very similarly to an attachment. and then it auto updates the sharing permissions. Because before I hit send on, or when I hit send on that, it'll be like, you have not shared that file with Sam. Do you want to share that file with Sam? You're like, oh, I do want it. That would make sense. So that way, I'm trying to give it to her anyways. So that's pretty helpful. You can put emojis in. There's a whole emoji thing here, and yeah, confidential mode. So this is new. I think this is only. I'm not sure if this is in personal accounts or just in Google for Education and Workspace accounts. But if you turn on confidential mode, what this one does is it actually will delete the email after a certain period of time. And then it also will not let people forward that email on. So if you want something to be confidential and to not allow people to forward it or, download the email, anything. Oh, it is in personal Gmail accounts. Cool. Thank you for checking on that, Sam. You can set different expiration dates and even passcodes on emails for people to check on, which is kind of a neat little feature that is kind of hidden, and they didn't really publicize it very much. So kind of a cool thing if you're sending stuff that's confidential. If you're in a personal Gmail account, you'll also see a little $ down there that you can send money to people through email. I have never done that before. I stick to the PayPal and Venmo world, but that's what I guess people have sent money that way before. I'm not sure. It's an option. So yeah, so that is kind of the whole compose window there in Gmail. That took way more time than I wanted to, but it is what it is. We're going to move on. I guess, does anybody have any questions on anything composing emails and beyond?
No, I did find Smart Compose in the settings on my computer, so it's there.
Good. Awesome.
It just
Good deal.
wasn't doing anything.
Sometimes it's like you have to get on a roll with it too, for it to kind of like pick up what you're typing and like understand where you're going with that, and it does take it's either going to be like either very generic or like it has to like read your like a couple of sentences to figure out like the path that you're on. So, and I think it also like learns from you too. So like the more you email, the more it's actually learning your style and like going to be like more suggestive in its responses, which is kind of frightening, but also very cool. It's like one of those tech things that like teeters on the edge of like really neat, creepy at the same time. It's kind of the whole world we live in right now, I think, when it comes to technology. So, all right. So let's go ahead and now look at a couple of other things that I really like with Gmail. We'll go up to the settings really quickly. That's going to be on your gear icon up in the top right-hand corner of the screen. They did give us some quick settings in here. This is a place that you can customize your inbox type. This is one that I encourage people to kind of play around with a little bit. Many of them are defaulted to priority inbox, which you might have that has like several flags basically at the top where it's like important emails, subscriptions, forums, like it's got different social, and it's got these different tabs basically that you select and go through. My personal preference is, because I'm a person that does not like to have those unread messages, is to use the unread message first option for my display. So what that does is it actually kicks all of my unread emails up to the top. And then as I read them, it kicks them down into the rest of my email. So I don't lose emails then. Well, I still do, but like I'm trying not to lose emails that way that I don't open, right? And they all stay up the top. So that's just a personal preference. One to kind of, check on and see what you like. If we go to see all settings, there's just a few things I want to highlight in here. In the general tab, there's one here that I really like to tell people exists. So if you go into your settings, you go to general, there is an undo send option. And it gives you a send cancellation period of up to 30 seconds. I keep mine at 20. And I tell you what, I use this a lot. And it's not because I write mean emails and then I feel bad and then I'm like, you shouldn't have said that, like recall it, although that is a helpful option. What this actually does for me is I recall emails a lot because I just want to like proofread them again. Like I send something off and I'm like, did I put that in there? Oh, call it back. And then I get to like look at it again. If I'm sending an important email, sometimes I just do it just to double check. Like, did I say that right? Like, and I pull it back. So that undo send period can be super helpful. And what it does, we'll go ahead and save this setting so that way I can show you what it is. When I go to save and send a message, so if I'm going to send a message here to myself, and then hit send, you'll notice down in the bottom here, I'm going to get an option to undo that send. And I've got 20 seconds. And if I click on it, it brings it back and it opens that window up. So that way you're able to reread it. Oh, I forgot to attach that file. Even though sometimes when you say like, oh, I've attached this to the email below, Google is actually smart enough sometimes to be like, hey, you didn't attach anything. Like, make sure you attach something. But this is just helpful to like, oh, I need to read that again. Like, so I always suggest to people, turn that up to 20 seconds. It's just, I think it's just super helpful to be able to, that's a good amount of time. 30 seconds, I don't know, it's 10 extra seconds. So is it that long? Not much. The one thing that is a little bit annoying about it is if Sam and I are even just like on the same Zoom call or in the same room, I'll be like, hey, I'll email that to you so we can work on that together. And then it happens in so many of my workshops where I show this, where they hit send and then like everybody has forgotten what slow internet is like 56K dial up and like DSL that took hours for emails to get to places. And then they'll be like, haven't got it yet. Undo, like refreshing their thing. Like, I still haven't got it. Like, I can't believe I haven't got it. It's like, hey, we remember it took overnight to download a song on Napster at one point in our lives. Like, just like give it 20 seconds and it'll get there. But it's really because you put an undo send on it. And so it does not send for 20 seconds. So just be aware of that if you are at a meeting and somebody's like, I haven't gotten that yet. Just like 20 seconds, it'll get there. So some other things in here. This is also where we can put on the best feature of this, which is our vacation responder, because we all love going on vacation. That's all the way at the bottom. And then also your signature. So I don't have a signature in this test account, but you can create a new signature here. And you get an entire new text box to go ahead and add in pictures, graphics, all sorts of stuff into your signature that will just be in every email then that you send out after the fact. So super helpful. There is a lot of other things in here. I'm not going to, here's your smart features as well, and your smart reply and things like that. So they were in there. They were just in this middle area here. There's some other things in here that I don't find to be extremely like super helpful in the time that we have, but they are there and they are, worth maybe checking out. Other things, the advanced features. So there are only a few. This used to be called labs back in the day, and then they changed it to advanced. The only one that I use, to be honest, I use two. I use templates and I use unread messages. The reason why I use templates, so what templates does is this allows me to create an email, save it as a draft, and insert it quickly without having to copy and paste it. I'll actually log into my work account just so that way you guys can see this in action. And I really like this because it does save a lot of time if you're sending the same email over and over and over again. So for example, when I go into compose a message here, remember that whole thing about like being patient with internet connections? Like I don't subscribe to that either. I'm like, come on, why isn't this loading? Loading. There we go. Now I clicked that 3 different times, so I'm probably gonna get 3 different messages that pop up, but no, it didn't. Okay. So when I have that on, that's actually gonna appear in the 3 dots down in the bottom corner here and more options. And then you'll see that it's grayed out right now for some reason. I think I might have to put in, let's see, there it goes. I had to put a name in there, but I have templates in here. And I use the same book creator template. So I do a workshop on book creator, awesome tool. And when I get done, I show a bunch of different templates of book creator books that people can use. So I'll get emails from people being like, hey, can I have your templates? Like, sure. Well, I got tired of writing the same email out over and over and over again that had all the instructions and the link to the Google Drive folder that had all the templates. So I just made a template email, and then I can click on that and you can see in comes, no problem at all, I'm happy to provide. So like it sounds very personal, but really it's the same email I send to everybody that sends me this. And it has the link to the folder, the instructions on how to use them, and let me know if you have any questions. So if Sam emails me, she feels like, oh, Ben personally responded and typed this whole long thing to me. It's like, yeah, Sam, you and all the other people that send this to me, but I promise that it's the same. But it is really helpful in saving lots of time. I have some other ones in here as an example. Like this is like I did the same SOPA presentation to superintendents, and it's 3 or 4 paragraphs, but it was going to be sent to the same person, the same group of multiple people. So I wanted to send it to them individually. So I just canned responses, so I didn't have to keep copying and pasting it over and over again. So it is a very helpful thing there. All right, and the last one's unread message icon. I do have that on. That just gives me a little bit, an icon up here underneath of my Gmail. I don't have it on this account, but it would just show me how many unread messages I have. Because again, I'm a crazy person and needs that to be 0. So, I have that on too. All right, I am running out of time. Let me talk to you about a couple of different things. Labels. Okay, so labels are super important. I'm actually going to go to my work one, so please ignore my crazy messy email here. But I do want to go to my work one quickly for this. Actually, no, I'm going to work is good. So labels are important. They're basically Gmail's version of folders, where you can put different things and organize different things into folders. So for example, I have Elizabeth here who has sent me an email. What I want Elizabeth's email to show up over here where I have all of these different what are called labels. Okay, so for example, I have one from Chrissy. So every email that Chrissy sends me, I put into the Chrissy label, which essentially makes a folder. Okay, so to do that, to make an Elizabeth one, which I don't, I already have an Elizabeth one. Oh gosh, I have one for like everybody when I do this. So that's part of Courtney. I don't think I have a Courtney folder or a label. Okay, so I'm going to check the box next to Courtney's name. And when I do that, I get a couple of different options. Okay, so you can see I got a whole bunch of stuff up here. I can delete the message, I can archive it, I can mark it as unread. This option is amazing. It is called snooze. So if I snooze this email and I snooze it till tomorrow, it actually disappears. So like Elizabeth, I'll do it for Elizabeth because I don't have time to read that tonight. So I will snooze that till tomorrow. I don't have that annoying unread message anymore. And tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., it comes right back into my inbox, just like it was sent at 8 o'clock in the morning. I do this all the time during workshops, just like this. Like, I got an unread message, snooze it till tomorrow, comes back in tomorrow. And you can set up custom times too to do that. Okay, so you just select that box and check the little icon here, and then you can snooze it to a particular time. It's very helpful. If you use the Gmail app on your phone, you can do it from your phone too, and then you can send it and snooze it, and it'll set back. But what we wanted to talk about was labels real quick. So when you check the box here, you're going to go to labels, create a new label, because unless you already have one, but I don't have one for Courtney, so we'll create a new label, call it Courtney, create. And then now I get this fun label that pops up there. And I can go over to my labels over here and click on her name. And now I have Courtney there. So all of Courtney's emails I can put into that label. So that's Google's way of creating folders. So in Outbox or in Outlook for Microsoft, you have folders. You don't have those in Gmail. They are called labels. Kind of annoying. I wish they would just call them folders, but they're not. They're called labels. So that's what we have to do.
Can you label them with 2 things?
Sure, absolutely. Yep, I can actually do that right now. So as long as you click on that, I can click on it and I can put it into as many different labels as I want. And it'll go into all of them. Yep. And you can nest them too. I don't know if you noticed that, but like I can actually create a new label and then I can nest that label underneath of this. So like I can like nest it under Courtney, and this could be like marketing. And then it's going to be you can see it's kind of a sub label underneath of that then. So you can really get advanced with this if you wanted to. There is a way to do this automatically. We do not have time to do that. So per our conversation earlier, I'm going to give you a video on how to do that and some other fun Gmail tips and tricks that maybe we haven't been able to get to. But I do have a video for that I share with people. So I'll drop this in the chat, and this will actually show you a way what is called to create filters that will automatically apply a label to an email as it comes in. So if I have a label already created for Sam, and Sam sends me an email, it'll automatically apply the SAM label to that. So it's actually pretty handy. But that is called a filter. It takes about 10 minutes to walk through. So we definitely don't have much time to do that. But I want to at least give you the video that you can watch should you want to learn how to do that. All right. Ooh, where did my... There we go. Okay, so that is Gmail. We're running out of time, so I want to make sure I highlight some stuff in Calendar. But does anybody have any other questions about Gmail kind of off the top of their head before we move on?
And I just wanted to mention my favorite thing is that I was at the 30-day mark that my emails were all getting deleted. And I realized that if I archived instead, that changed my life, that I didn't have to worry about things going away forever. They went away for a pause.
Yes, they get out of your life, but they still hang around. Like they just go dormant, basically, is kind of a good way to put it. So the archived messages that Kelsey just talked about, if you're in your inbox here, you see all of this stuff. So let me see if I have one that I can archive. This one, yeah. So I can check that box and I can click this button here instead of the trash, and I archive that. So it disappears from my inbox, but it still exists. I can still find it. This is also if you have an iPhone and you swipe left on a message in the native Apple app, it doesn't actually delete the email. It just archives it. So you can still find that. You just have to go into what's called your all area. So if you scroll down underneath all your folders, you'll get to more labels. See, I even say folders. And then you'll see all mail. And then now that's going to bring up all your mail, including that Salesforce email that was right here. That is there. So it's not in my inbox, it's in my all mail. So I find people really find this helpful, and thank you, Kelsey, for pointing that out, because they oftentimes on their phone will swipe left on a message and not realize where it goes, and it's in all mail. And you can get to that on your phone too. That's an area you can get to on your phone. So great point.
And before we get into Calendar, I know it's getting closer to 5. So if anybody does have to leave at 5, that's fine. This is being recorded, but we'll definitely stay on for a few extra minutes. So thanks for your flexibility, and feel free to continue on, Ben. Thank you.
All right. I just like to talk. I know. I try to keep it short, and what ends up happening.
And you're good at it, so that's totally fine. Yes.
So let's talk. That's my work one. Let's do this. We don't want to see all my messy work stuff. So let's talk some calendar and hopefully get Anne-Marie's question answered about signing up for different time slots to work. Okay. So this is my Google Calendar. Everybody's can maybe look a little bit different. It generally defaults to week view. What I like to point out is you can toggle that up in the top right-hand corner to several different views. So you can toggle that between day, week, month, even a year. And then you can even customize this. So right now it's every 4 days. You could customize that to be just 5 days and just show your work week if you wanted to. But there are lots of different views. I used to subscribe to the month view, and then I got a job that was like, oh my gosh, I have so many different things that are happening like throughout the day. Like I need to look at my week more than I need to look at my month. So I kind of stick in the month area. On the left-hand side over here, you see this is actually a quick way to jump from month to month. So I use this toggle a lot when somebody, Kelsey will email me and say, hey, Ben, we need to do a workshop. What's your July availability look like? And I'll open up my calendar. And then instead of doing this, which would jump week to week and take quite a while to get to July, what I'll do is I'll just go over here and then look and say, all right, let's look at the week of the 19th. And then it jumps me to July 19th. And then when I want to go back to current week, just click this button that says today, and that jumps you right back to the day that it is. So that's super helpful in just kind of like toggling between dates and looking in the future versus now, and all that good stuff. So I like to stick to that week view, but that's kind of to each his own on how they do that. Other things. So underneath of the My Calendars area, this is where it gets like kind of crazy, right? Like you might have the ability to look, and this is where I say like this is life changing. Like my wife will confirm with this, where we've shared calendars. She has access to mine, I have access to hers. We can add things to each other's calendars, and It's really helpful because if you don't put something on the calendar, we have an agreement that it's just probably not going to happen. Like if I don't say I'm playing golf on Saturday morning and I don't have it on the calendar, and then she's like, hey, we have a birthday party on Saturday morning. And I'm like, I'm playing golf. She's like, you didn't put it on the calendar. I put the birthday party on the calendar. You're not playing golf. You're going to the birthday party. Guess who's going to the birthday party? This guy. So, I learn. I have to put things on the calendar. But it's amazing, right? So being able to do that and have that collaboration back and forth, like I have friends that are like, oh, I don't know what Bree's doing like today. I'm like, why don't you guys have a calendar? Like, it's just not that hard. Well, we do. It's on the refrigerator. Fantastic. We're not at a place where you can see your refrigerator right now. Like, make it a Google Calendar. Like, it works. So, but also for work purposes, amazing to have access to like your colleagues' calendars. And it's easy to share those calendars or for you to share that calendar. Okay. So to do that, okay, here is my calendar. And if I want to share my calendar, I will go down and see my name here, click on these 3 dots next to my name, and then go to settings and sharing. And then I will scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see here, it'll say share with specific people. And then I can add a person. So when I do that, that's where I would type in my wife's name. I would type in my coworker's name. I would type in whoever I wanted to share this calendar with. And then I can give them different access as well. Okay. So for example, I can actually give them permission to make changes and manage events. I don't think I can in this one because they're outside of my organization. But if I was inside my organization, I could give them. I think that's just a setting for my domain right now, but it is helpful there. So as far as Emery, your question about having 50 people share the same calendar, yes, it should work. I think that would work. I don't know that I've managed a calendar with 50 people on it. I think the thing that you have to keep in mind with that is there's no revision history. So if somebody deletes an event by accident, and it could be a total mistake, there's no way to track who made that deletion, right? So like if Sam accidentally clicks on an event and then deletes it and then it's just not on the group calendar anymore, I don't know. I don't know that it was Sam. Like it just went away. Like there's no way to track that. Like in Docs, you have revision history. You don't really have that in Calendar. So it's just kind of like you're managing it. Like you want to make sure who has access to this. Like, and they might not be malicious. It just might happen, by mistake. So, but you can share that out. But it is helpful for that, for making it sharing with specific people. A couple of quick things, okay, as far as creating an event. Okay, so there is, and that's what a calendar event is. There's a couple of ways we can do it. One, the way that I like to do is I just click on the time that I'm going to have that event. So like if I have an appointment tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'm going to have a meeting. I'm going to click just at that mark, and it defaults to 60 minutes. But you can change that by selecting your different times in this pop-up window. But what I like to show is like most of the stuff is actually in the pop-up window now, which is really cool that they've done this. But if you go into the more options area, it gives you a fuller picture of what you're able to do when you're creating an event. Okay, so there's lots of different things we can change. We want to change the time, we can do that. But when we go into more options, there's just a couple of areas in here that I like to kind of point out to people. One, this is where we add in our video conferencing. So if you use Zoom and you have the Zoom plugin, I think you have to have the Zoom. I don't know if you have to have the Zoom extension for this to happen. I don't think so, but like you just have to have your Zoom account tied to your Google account. And then you'll have like the option to add a Google Meet or a Zoom call. You just have to click on the little down arrow to add the Zoom call to it. But the thing that I like to show folks is in this area right here where it says add location. I find this to be incredibly helpful if you're traveling a lot and you're going places, because if you actually type in, so if I type in, Regional Office of Education 47. So this is my office. I just type in, it's a Google Maps search for locations. And when you add it, it puts the address in there. And then when you put in the title for the time, the thing that I like about this is on my phone, I have the Google Calendar app, and that will actually show up. That location will show up in the event on my app. I don't have an event where I'm going anywhere. Yeah, here we go. So let me just quickly show you what this is. just sharing my screen so you guys can see this. Oh, there we go. I have to see the code. It's not asking me for the code, so it's kind of going slow. Anywho, since in the interest of time, we will just kind of bail on that thought, but I'll instead of showing you, I'll just describe it to you. So what happens is I can just tap right here where it says, and it's gonna be hard to see, I understand because of the focus, but you can see it'll have the address that's not coming in. And if I just tap, now it asks me for the code, of course, on the maps icon, and it opens it up in Google Maps right away. And then I just hit like go, and it gives me directions. So you don't have to like copy and paste anything. Like if you type it in on the computer and then have it on your phone and you just tap on it and then just hit maps and then it just opens in Google Maps and you can hit directions and go and off it goes. So that's just like a nice like time handle on, you know, not copying, pasting, worrying about all that. So super helpful to know about the location thing there. All right. The last thing that I want to kind of in here, nothing too crazy. There is something that is really cool in the description area that not a lot of people utilize. But if you have something you want everybody on the event, so if I'm having a meeting and I'm adding guests, I'm adding writer to my meeting, okay? I have a writer on my guest list now, and we're gonna have an agenda that for our meeting, okay? And I want writer to have the agenda ahead of time. So he's gonna see this meeting from 10 to 11 tomorrow. And then if I go down to the description area, there's actually this little paperclip here to add an attachment. And then it'll open up your Google Drive and you're going to be able to add attachments. And that Google file or PDF or anything that's in your Google Drive will then be attached to your Google Calendar event. And so now when Ryder goes to open that up, you'll see he has the event here. And then when he opens it up, there'll be a link here to the drive, and then he can see the agenda. So he doesn't have to email back and say, hey, where's the agenda? Like he can just click on that and he can see the agenda. And again, similar to the email where we share drive files, if you haven't shared that file with that person or the people that are on that invite, they actually will not, it won't let you send the invite without saying like, you need to update the sharing permissions on that Google file before we let it go through. So that way everybody can see it, which is super helpful. So very cool stuff. Are there any questions about like event creation or anything like that? Or do we want to go right to our appointment slots, which was, I think, might be what Anne-Marie will find helpful for this. I'm hoping. There's another tool that I might show you as well, Anne-Marie.
I was just thinking, Ben, could 50 people view a calendar and not necessarily edit it? Would that still be possible?
Yeah, they can. That certainly, and this might be helpful too when we talk about the appointment slots thing too. So, so when we share a calendar, we want people to see it. We'll go into those same sharing and permissions, and we go to the access permissions here. Okay, and what we can do is we can actually make our calendar available to the public. And then we want to showcase see all event details. And again, I think I must have some settings on my domain that's preventing me from doing this. Let's see if that changes it. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not getting that. It must be a domain setting. But you can put it to be see all event details. And that's super helpful when you're making another calendar, because you can then put like events public facing. You guys have probably all seen this on school websites, on really a lot of different websites. They embed the Google Calendar. And so you could share this out and then get a shareable link and then take this link and then email that out to everybody and say, hey, here's the link for our work shifts. I did this with my baseball team when I was coaching, and I made a practice calendar or a baseball team calendar, and I shared it with all the players and all the parents this way. And then I would update it with all the games and the practices and where the games were located at. And when I shared this link out, if people clicked on it, they would actually add it to their Google Calendar on their phone. So then they were able to see it on their phones and not have to like go to a web browser, which was really handy. But yes, so they would be able to see it, but not edit it. Right. Yep.
So once you have shared that link, if you update that calendar, the updates will automatically go. You don't have to share a link every time. It's just
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, it's just automatically there. So another good example, our secretary at the high school that I worked at, we had a Google Calendar that she put all the athletic events on for the school, actually every activity for the school. And she was the sole manager of that calendar, but that calendar was embedded on our website. So if you were a parent and you just wanted to see what activities were going on at the high school, you just went to the high school's website, opened it up. The Google Calendar was right there. It actually looked exactly like a month view, looked like this. And then you could see all the different activities and you could click on them and get the information on where that activity was taking place. And it was immediate. Like, it is, as soon as you hit save, it updates on everybody's calendar. So as far as signing up for shifts, okay, so this might work. I think this will work for you. This is a bit of a tricky kind of, there's one little tricky thing that trips people up, okay, when you do this. But this is a feature in Google Calendar called appointment slots, okay? And so what I'll do is I'm going to create a new event. And I'm going to set the time from 9 to 5 that we're open. And then what I'll select is actually this option right here that says appointment slots. And when I select that, I can now put in my slots.
How did you find that? How did you find that?
I wonder if you're in are you in a personal Gmail account?
Yep.
You might not have access to it.
Okay.
That could be just a Google Education and Google Business thing. Let's double check. Ah, shoot, it is. All right, that's not going to work. That was going to be really cool. Potential. I've got another program that I'll give you instead at the end. So that is free and that you can use, and it is really handy, and it connects with Google Calendar and all of that. So I'll give you that at the end. But if you guys, the other ones on here, are interested in the appointment slots, what is this, just to finish it up, is you can change this to say every 6 minutes and hit save. And what it does is, this is the tricky part, is like you did it and you're like, all right, now how do I get people to sign up for those slots? Like, it doesn't exist. You have to click on it again and then go to the appointment page for this calendar. So now I have a different calendar. So you see how it looks different here? So if I actually put this, I have to take this link and put it in the chat here. And now you guys should actually be able to open that up, I hope, and find a shift. So you would go to that link, select, I'll select this one, and then I can type in my where, what, or whatever, like I'll work now. And hit save. Oh, I think somebody else took my shift. Let's do this one. There, it worked. Yep. So Karen and I were booking the same slot at the same time. So she beat me to it. But you can see, like, Karen took that one, I took this one, and if I go back to my calendar and I click on that now, you see it comes up now. There's the one that Ben took, there's the one that Karen took. So you can share that out and people can sign up for those slots. Fortunately, Anne Marie, it doesn't work for
Personal account.
Oh yeah, but we have, like I said, I've got another service that works, and it does have a free option that I think you'll be able to take advantage of. So,
Okay.
So yes, so the appointment slots thing is pretty cool. But go ahead.
I do have another meeting at 5. So
shoot, it's Calendly. Okay, so that's the link to go to and check out. Calendly.com.
Okay, great.
And it is a free online appointment. We use it for work, and it's amazing. So,
Great.
Very user friendly too. So, yeah.
Okay, super. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Does anybody have any other questions about calendar? That was a bit quick, but we were actually able to kind of knock out most of
Along.
the stuff.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Anybody have any other calendar questions? I think we really covered a lot of it in just a short amount of time. All right.
I was about to ask, why is one of those meetings on Wednesday, the 26th, white?
Ah,
Why
good
does it look
question.
different?
So that is because I actually have access to Ryder Sondgeroth's calendar as Ben Sondgeroth. So in a previous training, I shared Ryder's calendar with me, which means I see his calendar because the check mark is there. If I uncheck it, it goes away. If I check it, it comes back because I'm viewing the events on his calendar. So because we've shared access, I see his calendar, he sees mine, but that's why there's two there. It's because I had access to his calendar. So that's actually a very good question, and highlights something that I've seen a couple of people that don't know you can toggle on and off all of the other calendars that are shared with you. And so their screen looks like a Christmas tree with like all these different colors and events and everything. And I was like, oh, do you even know which ones are yours? And they're like, oh, I didn't know you could just like, I don't have to see my boss's calendar all the time. I was like, oh, no, please don't. Like, you don't want that on there. Like, undo it. The other thing I'll say too is if you do have your calendar shared with other people, like they'll be able to see like what you title things if you have it. And so just be aware of that. Like I had one of my old bosses put a very personal doctor's appointment name on her calendar and just didn't change that. And so then I looked, I was like, oh, I wonder if she's available. And I was like, oh no, she is not available today. I will not. And so there's ways that you can do that though. So let me just like point that out. Like, so if you have a doctor appointment and you don't want people that are shared on your calendar to see that, go down to where it says, go to more options. And down here where it says default visibility, just change it to private and then save it. And you'll still see it as doctor appointment, but everybody else will just see it as busy. So like they don't know that you're in a doctor's appointment. They just see you as not available. And that can be helpful too, not just for doctor's appointments, but like if you're interviewing somebody or you have an evaluation or something like that you don't need other people in the organization to know about. Like mark it as busy, and then you don't have to worry about it getting out there. So that's another good kind of teachable moment.
Yeah, we had one of those on our calendar today, but I don't see it anymore. The second, or something I was going to ask is there a magic combo to like check all the calendars or uncheck all the calendars?
No, I haven't found that yet. You kind of have to just go through and check them one at a time. As far as I'm aware, like I don't think I haven't seen a select all option for them. Yeah, that would be a good feature though. I think that's something they should do. But no, I haven't seen that yet. If you want to get rid of a calendar, you can unsubscribe from it by just hovering over it and hitting the X.
Okay.
And then remove it, and then that goes away. So that's another thing. You're like, oh, that person doesn't even work here anymore. Like, shoop, remove, done. Like a lot of these are Google Classroom calendars because as a teacher, I get each Google Classroom that gets created creates a new calendar. And so you don't want all of these Google Classroom calendars, especially if they're ones that you're not teaching anymore because of the year has ended. So you can go through and you can just remove all of those calendars and you won't see them on your list anymore too.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
And when I'm looking at duplicating events, is there any best practices that you'd recommend for?
So there's a few things like like once I make one meeting and I know it's going to follow the same naming conventions, it's like, oh, I'm going to do this 3 times. There's a couple ways you can do it. So you can do the duplication. So you can click on it and then go to the 3 dots and then hit duplicate, and then it'll take all of the information that's already in that event, and then I can go up and I could just change the date on it. and then just hit save. And then it'll actually send another invite. If people are invited to that, it'll send them another invite. So that's one way that you can just kind of duplicate it. The other one is if it's a reoccurring event. So it's something that's happening frequently. So like I have a Monday morning call with my team every Monday at 8:30 every week of the year. We have that call. So what I can do is once I create the meeting the first time, and then this actually works if you have a Google Meet link or a Zoom link attached to it, it'll keep that same link like throughout all the meetings too, which is very helpful. And what I'll do is when I set it up, I'll actually edit it, and then you can select, it defaults to does not repeat, and you can select it up to repeat daily, weekly, monthly, like, or just customize it. Okay, so like for the one that's every Monday, like I just put weekly on Mondays, and then it will show up on there. And if I invite the guests to it, it'll be on their calendar every single Monday for the rest of time. But if I wanted to customize it a little bit, you can actually go in and say it repeats every 6 weeks on Wednesdays, and then it's done on August 25th. Like, you know, and so you can actually customize the time when it's over. So, you know, you're having a class that meets every Wednesday for 8 weeks. You can set that event up and you can have it duplicate automatically for you. And then if you invite those people, like I say, they get that invite every single week. Those are kind of my two best practices. There's also this too. So like I can click on that, and if I have access to other people's calendar, I can copy it to multiple calendars too. So sometimes I'll do this, like if it's a work event that kind of transitions over into my personal life, like I'm staying somewhere overnight, I can copy that to like my personal calendar, and then my wife would see that event too. So like if I have a hotel stay, I'll copy that over, and so she sees that I have the hotel stay, and it's on both of my calendars that way. So that's an easy way to just copy it over, and then it, you know, I hit save and it puts it onto that calendar as well. So kind of my you know, ways that I duplicate things and make them work.
Now we're getting really close to having to leave, but my last question is, when it comes to Google Meet, I know that sometimes we have some confusion that comes up about that auto populating into an email sometimes about like, oh, that's the way they're wanting to meet. But actually, maybe in our case, we're wanting to meet via Zoom or in person. Any suggestions about trying to tell people that it's at Zoom, or if that it is at Google Meet, or if it's in person in there?
I think the best thing that I've found is it's hard to get people to read sometimes, but you know, like we want to, like I would just like, the easiest way is to put it like in the, like, all right, let me show you. When I have my work account here and I want to make have a meeting, I have the option to either add a Google Meet, or this is where I have an add-on. That's the word I was looking for. So there are add-ons in your settings, or I'm sorry, yep, settings tab, and then get add-ons, and you want to find the Zoom add-on. And what you do with that is when the Zoom add-on is added on to your Google account, when you create that meeting, instead of adding a Google Meet, you can click on this and click Zoom, and then it replaces the Google Meet link with a Zoom link. So that way the Google Meet link doesn't exist, and you don't have to put the, you know, some people put the Zoom link in the description or in the location area, and then that might auto-populate both a Meet and a Zoom. So if you add the Google Calendar add-on for Zoom, then it'll just have the Zoom link. So they only have one option to go to. Or you could put like in the title, like Zoom link, not Meet link, you know, like something like Express like that. That's because that's the place that people look. But I think the easiest way is the Zoom add-on. That's the way that I found, because it takes away, when I save this and you click on the event, it only has the Zoom link there. And that's just probably the best way to do it.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Any other questions?
Ben, I think those are all of our questions from the chat and our attendees. So we just really want to give a huge thank you to those who joined us, as well as to you, Ben, for being our presenter. And we'll be sure that there is a follow-up email that goes out with any links that you provided and this recording. So thank you so much. And we'll definitely be seeing you again for the rest of our Google Apps series.
Yep. All right.
Right.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
Yep. You too.